Hi there, this is Linda and welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new here. In this video, I'm putting together my Project Life spread for the week of December 16th through December 23rd, 2024. And this week, I am using the December Stories by the Month kit from Ali Edwards. Let's go ahead and dive right in. December 16th through 23rd, so it's an extra day because the next week is the 24th through the 31st, so that I could end on the 31st in my album. So that's why I made it a little bit longer of a week, because I didn't want that short week. I think it was only like 3 days or something like that, and this just made it a little more manageable. I didn't want to split Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, but putting the 23rd as a separate day seemed to work pretty well. So I do have some Christmas photos because it's, getting really close to Christmas at this point. I got sick, so I want to trim this one a little bit better. I was sick for Christmas. I got sick starting on the 22nd, and then the 23rd, which was a Monday, that did not trim well, which was a Monday, I was supposed to go to work, but I was just way too sick. So I stayed home and ended up spending most of the day on the couch. I think I was telecommuting for part of the day, and then I logged out early and ended up just sitting on the couch playing video games, which was kind of how I spent my Christmas, absent the actual events we had going on. So I'm just laying out my pictures to start. For this one, I'm working with the December Stories by the Month kit. And I have a bunch of like random ephemera in here because in 2024, I was using these kits to document my ephemera. So I just have quite a few little things that I collected. Some of these, like this is clearly not gonna go in here, it's too thick, but I just put it in here for now, and then whatever doesn't end up in here, I will store with my other ephemera, or will end up tossed. Okay, so I'm gonna go through the cards first. So here's that card that is for my ephemera. And then I've been using these ones as my title cards all year, so I'm gonna stick with that. And then let's see, I have another 4x6 pocket. So I've got this Merry and Bright Fa La La. The vellums are so pretty, let's say. I do like that one as like a recap. Last year versus this year, not really joyful. I do like this one a lot, but I'm not sure I have like a long story. I guess I could use this for my bullet points for this week. Let's see what we have for 3x4 cards before I commit. This, I like that for my 6 story. Okay, and then I have been using these too, so I'm gonna go ahead and use that one again. I don't know that I want it right next to that though. I might do like this and then put something else here. So those kind of go together. The 3 things cards, I'm using those on the end page, so I'm gonna put that to the side. So I'm gonna look at my Hobonichi cousin to see kind of what stories I have. So I had a dentist appointment. And let's see, I had a dentist appointment. I had my work holiday party. I had some work stuff happen. There was some snow. And then I got sick and I was playing on my Switch. And that's pretty much it for this week in terms of what actually happened that I want to document. So a lot of that can go on there. I don't really have much else I want to really say. So let's see. I kind of want to use like one of these darker vellums as like a filler card, like maybe back that on white. I really like the way that looks. And it's kind of so funny because all year I was thinking, oh, there were too many die cuts. And then for this month, they replaced it with these plastic pieces, and I'm missing the die cuts, especially because the chipboard are smaller. So there's not those bigger pieces like we've had all year. I could cut this out though. I actually really like that idea. So I think I'm gonna put that on there. Or maybe even on this one. And then this one is super pretty too. I don't want two filler cards next to each other, but actually, or maybe I'll put this one. No, I don't like that. I think I'm gonna have to mess with it as I start putting stuff together, but I kind of like this as a layout. And then let me look at, for my embellishments, I think it's very easy to pair one of these circles with one of these to kind of embellish things. So like bring on the twinkle, best part of today. Not sure. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put you guys on fast forward or as on voiceover. I always say fast forward, but that's not really what I want to call it. On voiceover, and start putting this one together. I think I'm going to find some sort of embellishment to put here. If I'm not going to cut something from a card, I might pull something from my stash, or I could use one of these plastic pieces. Like, I don't know. I will think about it, but I'm gonna go ahead and grab some white cardstock to back these, put the voiceover on, and you guys can see how this one comes together. Okay, so this one comes together pretty quickly, which I feel like is always the case when I'm working with the Stories by the Month kits especially. So I start by cropping down some white cardstock for my stash. You can see I use this one on another project. I just keep scraps near my desk, especially of things like white cardstock and plain vellum, because I use them all of the time. I'm adhering this vellum piece down on top of this white piece of cardstock just so that the color kind of pops behind those words rather than seeing the back of the other card there. I'm going to use my rolling date stamp to add the dates onto this title card. And something that I had noticed this year, because I've switched to the 9x12 albums from scrapbook.com that have the 3 rings rather than the ones from Ali Edwards and Studio Calico that had the 4 rings, which I think are going to be kind of harder to find. I switched to the 3 ring page protectors from scrapbook.com also, and this design that has the 2 4x6 cards has them in a different spot than the ones from Ali Edwards. From Ali Edwards, that top row there, the 4x6 card would be on the left hand side, which I like for my title cards. So I'm not thrilled with this layout, but I'm making it work, and it's taken me a while of using these. Every time I plan out a spread, I think it's going to be on the other side, and then I start putting it together and I'm like, wait a second, it's not there. So my title card ends up being kind of in the wrong pocket, but it works out. It's totally fine. And so I'm working on this calendar card. I highlighted the dates from this week. I know I already had a title card, but the kits this month or this year had these calendar cards in them, so I wanted to do that. I didn't like it right next to the other title card though, because it was too much white, so I slipped it down. And I added some washi tape across the bottom that was from one of the December daily kits. I think it was from the main kit this year. And then I'm just adding chipboard and pieces onto my photos. So I decided to use the word phrase strips from the kit and pair them with some of the smaller chipboard pieces on my photos. That top left photo there of the snow, I just knew I wanted a kind of a larger chipboard piece there. And so I picked that one that said December looks like this. I had considered going into my stash to pick something out, but ultimately I decided to stay with something in the kit because it worked, which tends to be kind of my process where I'm working with a kit. I will only go into my stash if nothing in my kit works for what I'm trying to do. So you can see there I paired another longer word phrase strip with one of the chipboard pieces. And then on that photo, I'm not adding a chipboard piece, just a word phrase strip. So I was doing it that way at first, and I decided I wanted to pair a second word phrase strip with these. So I went to my stash and pulled over a sheet of white. I love word phrase strips. I love that they come in a lot of these kits, but I have so many of them stacked up because I don't use an entire sheet in the month. So I want to try to use more of my stash with these. So I always really like to pull one over from my stash to pair with new ones. Now I'm working on my ephemera card. I had so much ephemera this month. It was very hard to narrow it down to fit into these 5 little squares, which is great because in 2025, I'm going to be filling more than 5 squares for my ephemera, or at least I hope so. So we'll see. I haven't done any of those yet. I have some stamps here that I saved from some of my Christmas cards that I received. So I put 2 of them in that little spot. I added some tissue paper that came in a kit I got. This little thank you card came with an order I picked up. So I'm trimming it so it's a little bit bigger than the square so that you can still read my entire name and a little bit more of the text on it. And that's okay that it overlaps a little bit. Next, I wanted to add my wrapping papers that I used. I used 3 wrapping papers this year, but only 2 of them really fit on the spread. I'm adding this white one with the trees, and then I'm going to add the green one, and I'm just going to have to let it go that the red one's not going to end up in here. That's totally fine though. It is in my December daily album, and I do have it documented elsewhere, so I am okay leaving it off this spread. I kind of wanted to put all 3, but at the same time, with only 5 squares to fill, 3 of them being filled with wrapping paper would be quite a bit. Plus I have that one piece of tissue paper, which came from a gift from my friend. So my friend Sabrina sent me a gift, and so I had quite a bit of ephemera from that. You can even see I have a little note there from her, which I don't end up putting in here. I save it, but I don't put it into my album. But that tissue paper with the little tractor on it was from her, so I included that in here. And then I also have a package of some candy she sent to me that I'm going to crop down. And she's a craft friend that lives in California, and she also has a YouTube channel, which I will link below. She shares scrapbooking and Hobonichi stuff as well. So if you haven't checked out her channel, highly recommend Sabrina Poole, and I will link her in the description box below. Now I'm working on trimming out these labels. Here are words, because they're like word phrase strips on this vellum piece, and I'm just going to adhere them on top of my photo of Pumpkin sleeping on the couch while I was playing on my Switch. This is a way to include more of the cards from the kit, especially with these kits that have so many cards in them, and the vellum pieces. Just turning them into embellishments and trimming them down is a great way to get them into your spread while still filling that pocket with a photo. Next, I'm going to move on to adding some of those white word phrase strips to that photo of my house. And I'm going to do the same on this one of Pumpkin. He's hiding under the tree with the Christmas presents. So again, I'm doing a red word phrase strip, a white word phrase strip, and a chipboard piece in my embellishment cluster. I'm going to do that on a couple of my photos across the spread. I think I do it on 4 photos. And then I had that other one where I just added the word phrase strips, which is kind of repetitive still. So now I'm going to trim down this peppermint bark box from Sabrina because I thought it was super cute and I wanted to include it somehow to document this gift that she sent me. And I liked that it was a seasonal product. And I was kind of struggling because I didn't want so many filler cards. I had 2 kind of laid out there initially on this right-hand side. So this is going to take the place of one of those filler cards, which I think is going to work really well for my spread. So I'm going to go ahead and trim this to 3x4. Because it is thicker, it's like a thick cardstock or cardboard, I'm going to trim it slightly smaller than 3x4 so that it actually fits inside the pocket. And then I'm going to add a label sticker on top of it to just add a little note on there that this is from Sabrina. Now I'm thinking about what I'm going to do with this a not so very merry and bright card. And I wanted this to document the fact that I was sick, but I wanted it to say something so that I would remember that that's why things were not so merry and bright. So I pulled over these alpha stickers from Kelly Perky. I have a ton of these in my stash, and I think I spoke about this in a recent video too, that I don't know what I'm going to do when I run out of these because her shop is no longer functional. But they are great basic alphas. So I just added on there, ugh, I'm sick, so that I can remember that that is why things were not so merry and bright. On this photo of our taco bowls, I'm going to do the same thing with the 2 chipboard pieces, or 2 word phrase strips and a chipboard piece. I was struggling a little bit to find ones that kind of, the sentiments that worked with my photos, but my goal when using word phrase strips, or what I tend to do, is try to pick the most specific word possible from the set that will fit my photos. So like if there's one that just says like documented or captured or something like that, where it's just a very general sentiment, I won't use that unless nothing else on the page works, so that I can try to use them up. This is going to be my bullet point list card. So in my Project Life album, I tend to include a bullet point list card in every single spread that I do, just to include a bullet list of random little stories from the week that don't have enough to fill their own card or necessarily even have a photo. These are just little things that I want to remember. So I wrote out here some of the things that happened this week were the gutter cleaning. I watched a bunch of cheesy Christmas movies. I had a dentist appointment. I had my work holiday party. I won 2 cases at work. If you don't know, I am a tax attorney. So I don't typically document what I'm doing at work in here because a lot of that is secret, but just putting that I won some cases is kind of fun for me. I journaled on here that I was sick and I was playing a lot of Switch. It snowed all day Friday and I was stuck at work for it, so I had to dig my car out. And then I was working on December Daily and a bunch of different craft projects. For this spread, that actually turned out to be my only journaling card, which is not very typical for me. I tend to have a couple of journaling cards, but I think because this week was part of December Daily, I had more stories told in that album, so I didn't really feel the need to do quite as much journaling here. And I also really wanted to finish up my 2024 album. So at the time I'm working on this, it was already January 2025, and I was ready to kind of move on to my 2025 projects and just be done with this one. So that's what I just wanted to kind of wrap it up. Here I am adding that label on. I went and pulled that over from my stash of products and just trimmed it off so I could add that note on there that this was from Sabrina. And when I'm doing things like this, I'm trying to keep in mind, like, if I flip back through this album in a year or two, would I remember what this peppermint bark thing was? I probably wouldn't. I would have thought, oh, I just bought that as a snack. So just adding an extra note to say that that came from my friend Sabrina was nice to add a little bit of context to that ephemera in my spread. I like how I balanced kind of the dark spots with the white spots, so you can kind of see how that came together. Here's a look at that finished spread. Thank you guys so much for being here. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below. And as always, I hope to see you guys all in the next one. Bye.